You sure you're ready for this?
I'll do my best.
Your best? Losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and the prom queen.
Welcome to the best soccer show. The best soccer show in the whole world.
Here we go! It's JD and the Rod for the final time on a Wednesday night under this name. Okay, the final time as JD and the Rod. We are here together again.
End of a short era.
End of a short era. But it was sort of like an extended Brianna Bosman. You know what I'm saying? Kind of a little bit like that, right?
I was thinking about that just the other day, man. But
anybody who might go back that far. Anybody who might go back that far. That's a long, long time ago.
That had to have been around 2012.
I think that's about right. About right. Yeah.
So for those who don't know, and Nick had picked a great headline for the show. It says the final JD and Rod. It's for those that don't know or maybe missed the last couple of weeks. This will be the last show under this banner at this location. The show is not ending. Jason and I will continue to do a show weekly. In fact, perhaps more than weekly content. And it'll all be under the Best Soccer Show name and
the Best Soccer Show. It's coming back. It's like a warm blanket. It's like we lost it. Now we're finding it again. Yeah, it's like we're putting on.
When you get back with that girlfriend, we were broken up and had that rebound stuff. You go back to him. It's like, oh, I remember what this was like.
You think it's like that because that doesn't usually
a good
end
girlfriend, not a bad one.
Okay. But you don't. Okay, all right. I'm not sure.
I'm talking like Rachel and Ross. I'm not talking like someone that's like
somebody you had a real history with, somebody you really were connected to.
Like it just wasn't right then.
Right. You guys maybe you went away for a job or something, right? You just need to find yourself. You went on you backpacked.
It's not like she cheated on you.
No, okay.
Chemistry wasn't right that time. The stars weren't aligned, and guess what? The stars are aligned for us.
You don't know what happened during that interim period. Like definitely you guys were with some other people, but
she slept around.
It doesn't matter. Though, right? Okay, yeah, we both had our fun, but we're back together again. That's what matters.
You've been doing a show behind my back for like a couple of years.
What the radio show? Did you know I have a radio show?
Yeah, but we're on a break. It's okay.
We're on a break. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? References from the early 2000s, pop culture references from the early 2000s. Kind of a homework on
Friends has never been more popular than right now.
Yeah,
maybe not right now because now it's on HBO Max, but a year ago.
Yeah, well, everybody watched it on Netflix who had never seen it before, meaning people a lot younger than us, Jared. And I get the feeling that it was a lot of Gen Z people making fun of it. Don't you?
Is your kid watching any of like your pop culture from your time period?
Not currently. I don't think so. I don't.
My kid went through. My oldest went through. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that I love Futurama, and he will watch that with me, and he sometimes will choose it on his own.
What's that?
What'd you say?
I said I couldn't get into Futurama.
Oh, well, that was one of my favorite shows. So there you go.
Yeah, I hear that for the diehards though, there's a super amount of secret stuff in the backgrounds and stuff like that. There's a whole language that you can uncode, like the billboards and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in that.
But for me, go ahead.
No, I was going to say we are doing this live right now on a Wednesday as the first semifinal of MLS is back is wrapping up, and I feel like. Should we at least nod in the direction of the fact that the Portland Timbers just beat the Philadelphia Union 2-1?
We should, but you shouldn't do it at the level of interrupting me when I'm talking about like a thread on pop culture with my children.
Oh, my bad. Okay, yeah. You okay,
I care about Portland Timbers, but not that much.
Well, apparently I'm Mr. East Coast bias. I just got that on Twitter like literally 10 minutes ago.
I think most people thought the Union was the better team going into this, though.
I think people thought maybe the Union had a better plan. Not a plan. That's not the right word.
I just felt that they were hitting on the cylinders better. I mean, Steve Clark got lucky tonight. He still dropped a few balls tonight. I mean, there's some question marks around the Portland team, and especially when Jimmy Chara can't start the game. There's it was at one point it looked like Blanco was going to go out early. But I wasn't as much of a believer in Portland. I don't know that I still am. I think in the front third they look good. In the back third, I'm a little bit worried. Their defensive line.
Yeah, always a little bit. That's the thing about the Timbers, though. And I had a chance to talk to John Strong today on that radio show that you just found out I had. And, he's a guy who used to broadcast the Timbers before he went national. He's still a Timbers guy. And he talked about how
he was a card-carrying member of the Timbers Army.
I believe that's true. He kind of went up and down, or the Timbers, rather, kind of went up and down over the last, 5, 6, 7 years. Obviously, they won an MLS Cup in 2015. They went to an MLS Cup final in 2018. But they've had some years where it wasn't that good. And even in their seasons, it's never like, oh, the Timbers are one of the best teams in the league. It's always kind of like, oh, the Timbers are good sometimes. The Timbers are also not that good sometimes. And you really never know what you're going to get out of them. They are kind of Jekyll and Hyde that way. Or at least
and the coming of age of Bobase has really made that a difference in that team. If you go back to Fernando Adi, Maxi Urruti, they had strikers that were okay, but just couldn't take him over the top and take him over the hump and be consistent for him. And I think in Bobase, you're seeing someone that now is really the person that can finish. The chances being created by Diego Valeri and Blanco. And I think he's been a consistent threat up top, and I feel like they haven't had that. Even Maxi Urruti was better at Dallas and better at Montreal than he ever was at Portland Timbers.
They did have Fernando Adi when he was good before he went.
I think he had one good season with him,
and now he's a backup in Columbus, right? Is that where Fernando Adi is? I lost track of him. He's the journeyman now. I will have to mention this, and we do have a number of very active Philadelphia Union fans in the Besties Slack, which you can get access to by joining the Patreon at patreon.com/JDandTheRod if you want to. We have a lot of active Philadelphia Union fans there. They got to be pissed. Now, their team didn't play well enough to win the game, I don't think. I think that a lot of them would say that, but they got robbed. How is that not a goal? Shabilko's goal. How is that not a goal?
When I watched it back, I thought he was just slightly offside. And here's the thing about the way that the rule is written with VAR. And it has to be clear and what's the actual phrase?
It has to be clear and obvious that the referee made a mistake, or that in this case the assistant referee made a mistake.
Yeah, in this case, the call on the field was offside. So it has to be clear and obvious that it should be overruled. And I don't think when I'm looking at that, it's clear and obvious. I actually think he's slightly offside. Okay. I know this is a rule that really gets under your skin because you're like, just more than even is okay. I get that feeling when I talk to you that just over even is still should go to the attack.
Wait, hold on a second. You're like pushing me out to the edge of acceptable belief on the offside
I think that
rule?
you would prefer to err on the side of attractive goal scoring plays.
I feel like you're making me into this controversial figure. Like this is the buddy that you're like.
I just feel that over 8 years of you and I hanging out, when we've had these kind of things and looked at them, I feel like you've erred more on that side where I'm more like, nope, cut and dry, that's off.
Cumulative effect. It's not that I don't think that they're that. I don't think it can be cut and dry. I think that's my attitude. It's not that I say like let it go if it's slightly off. That's not my attitude.
This isn't a handball. He's either across the line or he's not across the line.
But that's not even, first of all, that's not true. And it's not true. It's not possible from replay to be a certain enough in what, inches, centimeters to know, is he actually 100% offside? You know, the Premier League is using all those vectors and lines and all kinds of crazy stuff. And even then you're like, all right, how good is the resolution here?
I tell my wife all the time, whatever. I tell my wife all the time, don't believe what the ruler says. You can't measure everything in inches and centimeters, It's more of a feel. Like, did it feel like it was right?
I mean, that's the important thing. Really, that's what it's about.
Does it pass the eyeball test? And when I look at that replay, it doesn't pass the eyeball test.
Jared, it's too much about analytics these days. It's always about like XG. Like, come on, don't bring that to me. I don't need XG.
XG?
I need XG is expected goals. Do you not know about expected goals?
Why would I know? I play the game. This is like the kind of thing that people who don't play the game talk about. I swear to God, this is where Bruce and Arena and I are like soulmates. Like,
the only way to back a classy.
Sorry, we just stepped on each other there. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Nick. Oh,
no,
sorry,
Nick's still bright red from what you said about rulers. So
no, I think that this is the kind of thing that like Bruce Arena feels this way about like Opta and stuff like that too. It's just like, stop analyzing the game and just watch it. And what does your gut tell you? What do your eyes tell you about what you're seeing?
Okay, you've been foisting the old man identity on me.
This isn't an old man thing.
Yes,
This is
it is.
people who
It's
play the game versus people who
not
watch
too
the
much.
game.
That's not what it is, because it's possible to use analytics and data and those things to get an edge, to be better. A player
Agreed.
identification, tactics, the right.
But I think it goes too far.
Arch. What do you mean it goes too far? What
I
does
think
that
there's
mean?
people that get analysis paralysis. They over tinker based off of data instead of just looking at the player and say that guy can play or that guy can't. You can't measure like Brendan Aronson tonight. If you look at his stats, probably not that good, but that dude worked his ass off. And he tried. He was running down everything, trying to make it a difference maker for that team, and it's not going to show up in the stats.
Certainly parts of the game that are difficult to measure. In fact, I talked about this recently on one of the things I do. Okay, I mentioned that one thing that analytics will have trouble identifying is how Brendan Aronson is excellent at receiving a pass. And what I mean by that is the pass doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to lead him into the right space. It doesn't have to be ahead of him. It doesn't have to be into his feet. Or if it's into his feet too much, he's able to dig it out. Those things get lost because you're not, how are you marking this down? Okay, crappy pass, 2 crappy passes, 3, there's no analytic for that, right, Jared? So obviously you're right on some level, but I don't think you should say, it goes too far. It's an important part of the modern game. It is.
You can say that. I'm not saying it.
Okay.
I'd say screw the stat. Here's the thing. Somehow Ajax was able to develop the best talent in the world in the 1970s with 0 stats other than their eyeballs. Like people play good games and they've played good football for their entire 200 years, and they didn't need stats to do it other than a goal score and your eyeballs. Okay. I'm not saying you can't. I'm not saying that performance can't be the beep test and like body whatever they call it, the metabolism measuring your stuff.
Not analytics. That's different. But
I'm not saying that there's certain things that can enhance the game, but I just think at some point it's too much. Like VAR, just because we can do it doesn't mean we should.
Well, I'm with you to a large extent on VAR. That's where I wear my old man badge proudly. But I don't know that I'm with you 100% on the analytics thing. I may have been that way in the past, but I definitely think that there's room for all of it. But
does the microphone pick up the ice in my cocktail?
Probably does. Yeah. You know what? If you're gonna let it fly tonight. In the last.
By the way, there's a severe difference in how we are presenting ourselves cocktail wise tonight. I've got a nice cocktail I made myself in a rocks glass. Mm-hmm. You, sir, are drinking out of a solo cup like you're a 21-year-old at a frat party.
This is water out of a solo cup. Okay.
That's the other problem.
Not to imbibe this evening. Actually, here's the thing. You want some pull back the curtain honesty? So for the last couple of weeks, I've been staying at a friend's house while my home that I bought last year is being renovated. We're changing the kitchen. It needed it. Trust me. And we're staying here. And, this is why we didn't have a show 2 weeks ago, because there was a thunderstorm and the power went out just as we were going live on the air. And so this is not my crib. I'm not stocked here the way I am at home. So when I went just now to go find something to bring to sit down with, to maybe match you cocktail for cocktail, I wasn't going to go in the limited time I have, dive into my buddy's whiskey stash and be like, okay, I'm just going to
you didn't have your muddler. That's what it was.
My muddler? What is a muddler?
You don't have a muddler?
What the hell is a muddler? What? I mean, I don't drink cocktails. I drink whiskey. I just drink it.
Okay. You don't ever mix a cocktail for yourself? You don't ever want to fancy it up and
if God wants us to have bitters and orange slices or whatever you put in there, vermouth. I don't know what's in a cocktail.
You almost described everything that's in my glass right now.
Look, I used to be more of a cocktail person, but that's too much work for me. You pour the whiskey on ice and you drink it. It's glorious that way.
That store was out of Midori, huh?
Yeah, I didn't have any blue curacao in my
you can't have sex on the beach without that.
We do have phone lines, by the way. They are open for you to call us at 717-727-2378. Those last 3 numbers, if you look at a phone, the old school one, or I don't know, they put them on our cell phones. They don't, right? Because you don't have those.
On the buttons on my app. Yeah. It does.
If you pull up on your screen the actual numbers, you'll see the letters. It says BEST, because that's what we are, and that's what we're going to be again. I think Jared already mentioned it. This is the final JD and the Rod. We're going to Best Soccer Show, but the number's not going to change. So for anybody who's been following,
great again.
Can we change it can we change it slightly so it's just not quite as on the nose as that? I mean, I don't know. How do we do that?
Make soccer World Cup again?
You know, okay. Well, it doesn't flow. You can't say musga, right?
Yeah, that doesn't work. You're right.
No.
My bad.
No,
But certainly, there's a couple Philly fans out there, I'm sure, are not happy with the referee's decision tonight and would love to talk about it. And I'm sure all of them are sober. So if you'd like to talk about the Philly Union game and you're listening right now, we can be your shoulder to cry on.
717-727-BEST. All right.
But
So
that's a topic that's been talked about this week, Jason. MLS is back. Should
Oh.
MLS is back be back?
Well, there's that. There is a question around that. I mean, obviously, look, the tournament's almost over. So, and they've had 0 cases essentially since Nashville and FC Dallas got kicked out. So you could say it's a success on that level and the testing.
I think it is. I think it is, and especially based on I think the worry that people like myself and you had going into it. I think we came out with the best case scenario, to be honest with you.
Well, okay, look, again, I have my misgivings about the resources that went to maintain the bubble for a bunch of athletes when there's issues in other parts of the country and especially in Florida. Like I have maybe some problems with the way that this whole thing was conducted when it's not like we have a handle on it anywhere else and testing.
I have
and
a problem when people are wearing masks on the sideline in a bubble.
You have a problem with that?
You're in a bubble. Like, why do you have to wear a mask on the sideline? We're in the bubble.
I mean, maybe there's some people who have moved in and out. Maybe it's just a
presentation.
It's an example for the rest of society.
It's presentation.
Yeah, that's fine. What's wrong with that?
I don't know. It's like I don't know. Sometimes I don't need to be all fancied up.
But they're doing it because they're on television, and it's important to send that message that, hey, you should be wearing your mask out.
I get that. Maybe I'm just a Johnny Naysayer. I don't know. Is there a Philly caller on the line, perhaps?
I want to. Well, we'll get to that. I do want to real quick. I want to ask you a question. Have you gone fashion mask, or are you just straight utilitarian?
Oh, no, it is paper.
Paper.
Well, it's what's supplied by my company. So
okay,
it's like the disposable mask.
The pretty standard medical.
Yeah, the
mask,
one you would see like a surgeon's mask, that
the
kind
blue
of stuff.
one. The blue one.
I don't think. Why do I need a vanity mask?
I'm not saying you need one. I'm asking if you had one. You are somebody.
I understand people that have vanity masks. And here's what I don't understand: why are you spending money on this?
Well, okay, but that's a good question. Okay, but you are the guy who likes a good. You like a good cardigan.
Honestly, if I was going to buy a mask, I'd buy it to be LAFC. That way I spit on it all day as I talk.
Don't nobody go in the bathroom for about 45 minutes.
I don't understand people that buy the club that they like. Why would you want to spit on the club you like all day long?
You were talking about spitting. I went with a poop joke. I actually meant to play this one.
Coordinate.
That one's the fashion one. You got to coordinate, Jared. You
got
to have
both of those called Witherspoon. Is that why you got them mixed up on the board?
No, they're just close to each other.
Okay.
And in my head, I mixed them up. But some people want to have the whole look. Like if I'm going to wear I wanted my shirt and my mask to.
That's another thing. Do you know how I feel about this? Like, don't cosplay. We're at the stadium, do it, but don't cosplay in public. Don't go head to toe like your team. I think that's just bad sense.
No, I'm not talking about that part. Although there are certainly every team. I mean, look, I went to the grocery store today, and I realized I didn't have the mask I usually wear, which is. It's not blue. It's not a blue surgical medical mask. It actually does have my wife's aunt in Puerto Rico made it and sent it. It's cloth, but it's got like a pattern on it. It's whatever. It's nothing crazy. But I didn't have it with me. What I did have was my Charlotte FC branded mask that they sent in a box. We talked about this, right? They sent.
It was minted just for you,
and it has the.
Is it mint flavored?
The coin.
No, the mask. That would be badass if it was mint scented or mint flavored.
Oh, it was not mint anything. But it does have like a checkerboard pattern on one half and then the Charlotte FC logo on the other. So it is not boring by any stretch. And I was walking around the grocery store going, I wonder if people are like, what the hell?
That's more attention than I need.
You just don't want that. Let's go to the phone lines. Let's bring in one of the aforementioned Philly fans that you were talking about, Jared.
Michael freaking Orozco Fiscal.
That guy. That guy's on the line. Mike in Philly. What's up, man?
Hey, guys. Let me preface by saying under normal circumstances, I'd be too depressed to call, but this is the last show before the first show, so I had to call.
The last show before the first show. Good stuff, Mike.
I just got to I really just need maybe Jared or someone to convince me that this tournament doesn't actually matter, and I tricked myself into caring this much about it. Because,
okay, Mike, I'll put you out of your misery. This thing don't matter, dude. Like, it's not gonna. Here, if the only thing that matters, you might get a little bit of point standing out of it. I don't know how they're gonna end up doing this thing in the end. Like if there's even gonna be games in the next couple of weeks, they're talking about it, but I don't see how.
Oh, they're gonna do it, dude. They're gonna do it.
This is stupid.
You're
You know
gonna
what?
This is. You know
What they should do is get the players a 1 month break at home and then do another one of these. That's what they should do.
This is MLS is the drunk guy at the party who's had too many and managed to get on the roof and he's about to jump off into the pool and you're like,
He's from Almost Famous. They think they're a golden god right now.
Yes,
they're gonna jump off the roof into the pool. And Mike, here's the thing: your team hit almost every expectation you wanted for them going into this. You should be happy that your team is one of the best and probably one of the favorites to whatever comes out of the season to take a part in it. You're not getting $1 million. I'm sorry.
I can play the other side of this. I can say the $1 million. So does that really matter? I could say, like, for a team like Philadelphia, who's missed out on 3 U.S. Open Cups, who doesn't have a trophy to its name in its MLS history, who through its first 10 years, kind of struggled to figure out an identity and now finally has one. For a team like that, any trophy, I don't care what trophy it is.
The
any
COVID
trophy
Cup is a good first trophy to have.
It matters to put one in your trophy case to say our plan. We started the academy. We brought in Ertz Tanner. He changed who we were. We have a coach who's learning on the job and doing a fantastic job, especially man management and Jim Curtin. We captured something. I know Mike is one who said on these airways before that he's a winning first guy, like he wants to win. But I'm sure there's some people in Philly and in Jersey who have said, I'm okay.
I know you're talking him off the ledge right now, but I'm going to put him back on it. So, Mike, all this good stuff that Jason's saying right now and how good your team was, all it did was take Brendan Aronson and Mark McKenzie one step closer to not being on your team.
So this is the other thing. Before Mike responds, the bleak picture you can paint is you didn't win a tournament. And now you're about to lose at least one of your 2 young stars, if not both, and you're gonna have to replace them. Mike, I don't know how. Okay, now that Jared has said his piece, how do you feel?
Pretty horrible.
You're welcome,
man. I'll tell you. I mean, at least the sense I got from the union community, everyone really, really bought into this. So this it sucks. Because I feel like it was there for the taking, and they just looked absolutely horrible tonight, like end to end. And like you can mention the missed PK or the questionable offside call, but like even then they just did not have it tonight. So it's just I keep saying it. I've never been in a more abusive relationship with the Philadelphia Union. They just constantly get your hopes up, and then
there's so many teams that have it worse than you, Mike.
Yeah, well, okay, for a while there they didn't. Okay, I mean there weren't any teams that really had it worse than Philadelphia. For a while there, things were bad. Okay, and I remember Mike and I talking through various programs and stuff I was doing, and it was always kind of, they're not spending money. Sugarman's cheap. They don't have a direction. At the time it was Curtin doesn't know what he's doing because he's young and hasn't had much experience.
Nah, the ginger Clark Kent is making it happen, man. I like what he's doing there. But Mike, here's my advice to you as we let you go, because we have another caller that's going to be coming in. Maybe we don't. Oh yeah. So I'm going to say this thing for you right now. Put on Disney Plus.
Don't do it.
Start up Hamilton, cue up the song by the great George Washington, teach him how to say goodbye, and watch a highlight reel of McKenzie and Aronson, because that's what's happening, buddy.
He finally did it. He brought Hamilton directly into the main show. Mike, are you going to go take him up on that advice?
Hamilton may be the only thing that makes me feel better at this point, so I'm dead serious. I may do that.
All right, Mike. Appreciate the call, man. Sorry about how that went for you tonight. And look, the vagaries of the tournament, right? Like, was Philly not prepared? Is this on Curtin? Was it the players were gassed because it's been a long time and a long period in Orlando? And, Jared, playing that many games in that humidity in that short of time span is obviously going to be draining for you. Who knows what it was. Let's go to Jonathan from Nashville and let him jump in here. Jonathan, you're on the air. What's up?
Yeah, so talking about MLS is back becoming an annual thing. How do you guys think we keep it relevant? I think one of the things right now is that there's there is some prize money, but there's also a CCL spot on the line, and with the Open Cup potentially coming back, that takes that CCL spot. So what do you guys think? I think one of the things that's made it so great is that there's a lot on the line and teams have bought in. What do you guys think?
forgot about the CCL spot, Jared. That is a thing.
I've got an idea for this.
Okay.
I've got an idea. It's going to be controversial.
Oh, no.
MLS is back.
Uh-huh.
Every preseason. I think it's like a combine before. Okay, but let me finish before you make you're sucking on a lemon face. Okay. Every preseason, MLS is back. Winner gets a final berth in the U.S. Open Cup. Now listen to me. Hold on. Listen to me.
This isn't
listen to me. Let me finish.
Championship. Okay.
Let me finish. The other spot in the Open Cup final cannot be an MLS team. The rest of the teams all play for the. So no matter what, in the final, you have an MLS team versus any spot in American soccer, and it heightens the ability for a Cinderella team every year to play an MLS team for the Open Cup.
Yeah, but it's
the Open Cup goes on. MLS teams don't care about the Open Cup anyway, Jason. They're not playing. MLS wastes spots in the Open Cup all season long. Let that tournament truly be the Cinderella teams versus Cinderella teams, and they know no matter what, they're going to get a primetime spot on the same channel that whatever it takes the MLS's back tournament. In the contract, you bring this game, Open Cup game final into it. And they play an MLS team versus some lower league. It will always be MLS versus a lower league team in the final.
I know what you're trying to do there. I do think it's a hole in that plan that there can only be one possible upset of an MLS team, and it has to come in the final, meaning that none of those USL teams would have a chance to upset an MLS team.
When's the last time a non-MLS team was in a final?
They have not since Richmond, I think, 12 years ago or something. But you would have killed a portion of the FC Cincinnati experience with this. FC Cincinnati knocked off the Chicago Fire.
But think of it this way: they could have knocked off the Fire, the Crew in the final and won the thing.
Yeah, but they also wouldn't play any MLS teams until the final. So if they fall at that semifinal hurdle, they don't get that opportunity.
So Nick, would you rather have a quarterfinal victory over an MLS team or a final victory over an MLS team?
Well, that's an obvious answer. I mean, of course you want the final victory, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'm saying we've had 8 years since the last time we've had an opportunity to see something like that. MLS teams don't care about it. It's a waste of their time. It's a waste of their resources. Why not just MLS is back. Do it as a tournament preseason. You've got to play anyway. You're getting your teams in shape. There's something on the line. They get a final berth, potential real trophy, not COVID Cup trophy, a real trophy at the end of it chance in a final.
Well, okay. First of all, I didn't know you were going full Bruce Arena today. Like, is this just now your identity? You're just everything. You don't want no stats. It's the eye test. Grumble, grumble, grumble. Now you want to.
What is Bruce Arena about? What I'm proposing right now?
That he hates the U.S. Open Cup and doesn't want to.
Every MLS team hates the U.S. Open Cup. Seattle's just better at marketing it.
It's not true. First of all, I think obviously the U.S. Open Cup isn't the most important thing.
Let me rephrase that. No team in the top 5 where the standings are whenever the MLS Open Cup is going on is serious about it. Any team 6 and under cares about it.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
I mean, you would say I was like you say Seattle and both Kansas City both care about the Open Cup. In years that I know with Kansas City has won it, they've been high in the standings as well. So I think it depends on a club by club basis. But then if you just change the Open Cup like that, doesn't it just kind of negate a lot of the things for the USL clubs? Or by the end of it, it's just USL teams playing each other.
It changes the complexion of the U.S. Open Cup.
So you're telling me that USL teams want to be playing watered down MLS teams in the quarterfinals instead of playing the real team, real team in the final.
That's not the issue. The issue is that you are limiting to one team. This is a numbers thing. If you leave it the way it is, 4, 5, 6 potentially lower division teams get a chance to play MLS clubs. The way you're outlining it, only one team.
So that's the problem, though. That's the problem with American soccer right there. You think it's an honor for the 4th division team to play an MLS team. The honor to lose to them in a quarterfinal. That's the way you're phrasing it. You're saying that they won't have the chance to lose to an MLS team. That shouldn't be their goal. Their goal should be to make it to the end and beat them on the biggest stage there possibly could be.
But they won't have a chance to beat an MLS team. There's no Cal FC.
They have the same chance as every other team in the lower league. Get to the final.
I don't like it. I think it's terrible.
Nashville, when they beat Colorado 2 years ago, and that was a huge.
Yeah, where's their trophy?
Jared, that's missing the point.
There was no trophy there, but that was still a huge thing for the team in the city.
Jonathan, let me stop you for a second.
Loser's mentality.
This is Jared's whole LA Galaxy. All that matters is championships thing coming out. I haven't seen it like this in a while.
I think that is a more interesting. No one watches the Open Cup, Jason. It's dead.
No, you don't watch the Open Cup.
No, come on, Jason. You think people do because you do shows about lower league soccer that no one cares about lower league soccer, dude. No one cares about it, man. That's don't.
Not true. Look, again, FC Cincinnati was putting 30.
Show me where it's on TV. Show me where it's on TV.
It's on ESPN Plus, every single game of it.
Yeah, so's MLS, I guess, but
MLS.
My sport's on there. You don't even call it a sport.
It's not, but okay. I mean, I understand what you're trying to do, but it's not that there are other ways that maybe you can make the Open Cup.
No, here's what's going to happen. They're going to take MLS's back, say this is good. Now let's put Mexico teams in it because everything about our identity these days is let's get Mexico involved because it only matters and it's only important if Mexico's involved.
No,
keep Liga MX away from my MLS, please.
Okay. Wow. I didn't know. I had no idea this was going to be.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing you're doing with lower leagues teams. They're only legitimized by when they play MLS. MLS is only legitimized by when they play Liga MX. It's this next level of things. This is what we do in American soccer, and it's bullshit, dude. Like it really is. Like play the best teams or figure out a way to make it incentivized. We keep just leapfrogging and attaching ourselves to the next thing instead of being MLS. Just be us.
Look, okay, the Open Cup has a history. Okay, the Open Cup is based on the idea of literally an open. Hold on. The Open Cup is literally based on the idea of an open tournament for all teams in the country. Now, obviously, you have too many teams to play. Everybody play in a massive tournament, so you have a qualifying situation, and only certain teams from the amateur divisions can qualify for the main tournament, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have the staged addition of the professional teams in it. That's sort of, again, the idea is everybody can play in this. You are now giving, whether you think of MLS, I know MLS is obviously the top division in the country, all right? And they win it every year now, and there's really no intrigue. But you're essentially saying MLS teams don't have to earn it, or an MLS team doesn't have to earn an opportunity to get there. They can go straight to the final because they play each other in a different tournament. Again, you're kind of ruining the spirit of the
doing it anyway with the CCL, aren't we?
What do you mean? I don't know.
We're saying that the winner of this gets a CCL berth. Like
MLS is back. You're talking about MLS is back? Yeah, no, I think that's ridiculous, by the way. I mean, clearly this is a one-off, weird. We don't know what else to do. Holy crap! How are we gonna make this matter situation? I don't think if MLS is back becomes an annual thing and it's sort of a League Cup tournament, I can be on board with that. And if MLS wants to put one of its CCL spots to that tournament, fine, more power to them. But still leave a spot for the Open Cup champion because I think that should matter.
An Open Cup champion in the CCL?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I wasn't sure where you were at on that.
If MLS wants to say, okay,
here's the real question that was asked. What's your thought on how do you use MLS's back then in your scenario, or how you think of it? How do you use it? Because here's the thing: if you don't put it at the beginning of the season, you kind of have to change the name. Because luckily, MLS is back as a concept works at the preseason.
That's a very small element in this, right? I think in terms of the name, like if you wanted to take the idea of this kind of tournament, wherever you put it in the calendar, is it something that MLS should be doing every single year? And I don't think I'm sold, dude. I don't know that I am.
Here's why it makes sense, dude. Our preseason is in January and February, coldest months of the year. Go to Florida, get everyone down there where there's good weather, play games together. You're going to get high-level scrimmages, high-level games against a good competition instead of playing your second division USL team that is your own sister team.
Hold on. But basically what you're saying then is there's no preseason, right? The reason you play scrimmages, the reason you play friendlies is because you need that lower level of competitiveness. But
who are people playing in their friendlies?
If you throw, okay, I understand, but what I'm saying,
playing the local college team sometimes.
Jared, my point is if you make the tournament matter and teams are now playing for something important, then they don't have a chance to ramp up in a preseason. You're coming in hard from nothing, from training. You're just going to come in and run straight.
Coaches get to decide that. If the coach doesn't want to prioritize it, then they don't have to.
But now it doesn't matter. Now you have teams who are going to be like, well, we got to be careful. We don't want to get our guys injured. We have a regular season after this. And now the whole thing is underlined. Why even bother?
You're acting like they're not playing games anyway in the preseason. They're playing games either way.
But again, they're playing like,
make it unlimited substitutions. It's your tournament. You can do it.
Why would you do that?
They do that in the scrimmages anyway, dude.
But I mean, like, how is that better than what we already have?
because it's on TV and I can watch it. It's better competition than the
Why
college team they're
would
playing.
the television companies want to broadcast it effectively a glorified preseason tournament?
That's fair. I don't know why they'd want it in the middle of January and February. I don't know why they'd want to have a tournament and televise it, because right now it's unique right now.
The only way that I've heard, the only idea I've seen that makes some semblance of sense
Is if they tie it to the U.S. Open Cup. Thanks.
No.
Oh.
No, I don't. No. You're not gonna.
Duh and or hello.
I was gonna say the only idea that makes any semblance of sense to me, and this requires MLS going in a radically different direction with its calendar, is to switch to the European style, Mexican style calendar, play an Apertura or a first half, play MLS is back in Florida in the warm weather in those winter months when you can't play games in Montreal and Minnesota, and then play a second half after that.
Okay, I got a better idea for you. A hybrid version of what I'm saying and what you're saying. Hear me out.
This is like This is like when the two things go into the
top 16 teams in the table at the end of MLS season. Top 16 teams.
Yeah.
In the meantime, U.S. Open Cup's been going on. Top 16 teams from the Open Cup from the lower leagues meet in a tournament bracket. March Madness in January and February. MLS is back is a competition of 16 MLS teams and 16 U.S. Open Cup teams, and that's the Open Cup final is a tournament. Because Americans love a March Madness tournament, right?
Yeah.
You seed it, you put them up against each other, and that's how you determine the champion, and it's in that format.
I like that better. I do think that squeezing that in, maybe that's not that hard. It's 32 teams. I could see how you're making that work. A lot of the World Cup kind of format, right? Yeah. Okay, I'm more on board with that, but I still think that there's no reason to kind of pull in the lower division teams into that. Why if you,
because I just feel like there's something you got to do with the U.S. Open Cup because it's dying.
Okay, whether or not the Open Cup is dying is, I think, a little bit up for interpretation. It got a TV, at least it got a broadcast deal, even if it's ESPN Plus. We weren't watching those games on ESPN Plus 3 years ago. They just weren't there.
I'm telling you right now, I can't tell you who won the Open Cup last year.
Okay.
Nick, do you know?
Was it Houston?
No, that was 2 years ago.
That's what I'm saying, though.
No.
These are two guys to watch MLS all the time. Watch the national team. We don't even know who won the Open Cup last year because it doesn't matter to us. It doesn't mean anything. I'm just saying there's got to be a way to I think there's a way to take advantage of both these things because you're shoehorning MLS's back somehow if you're going to do it. You're shoehorning it no matter what.
I did remember, but I will admit that the fact that this team won it and just fired their coach after MLS is back isn't actually a good commentary.
So it's Atlanta?
It's Atlanta United, yeah. Who did it? Jonathan, anything else before I let you go, man?
Nah, I mean that's it. I'll wait another time to argue with Jared about analytics.
Okay, perfect.
I'm hot right now, dude. I don't know if tonight's the night.
Yeah, do it in the Slack. Jared got real spicy in the Slack.
Here's the thing. I hadn't even thought about that concept, the U.S. Open Cup, until we started talking about it. It's not like I planned this for a couple of days. It literally came to me in the middle of the conversation tonight.
But the Mexico thing about how we're always trying to glom on.
I thought about that earlier today.
Yeah, that bothers you. I know. Let's go to Frank, the Frank in the OC. Frank, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, listen, so great stuff here, but if we want to make an MLS tournament a thing, the Leagues Cup guy has to go. I mean, let's just for a second, let's just live in a world where COVID doesn't exist, right? Okay, how is MLS going to fit MLS is back, Leagues Cup, U.S. Open Cup, the regular season, Champions League. Oh yeah, and that one game.
The Campeones Cup.
Yeah, the Campeones Cup. That's what 7. I think that I've already named. That's way too much. I don't even think any of these teams have the roster depth to be competitive in any of these games. And I don't even see any incentive.
Dude,
maybe you guys think differently, but I mean, there is just way too much.
Well, Jared, I'll admit, I completely spaced on the fact that the Leagues Cup is a thing. I forgot about that.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh yeah, last year they did it like they threw.
Does it have Mexico teams?
It does have Mexican teams.
I'm not paying attention.
It had your team last year. They were in it.
Sure, of course it did. Mexico teams and Galaxy always sell tickets. Of course they're together, but I don't care about it. I care about the CCL and MLS. That's all I care about. And here's the thing, and Frank, MLS, hearing you list those things off, MLS has more gimmicks than a Carrot Top show. You know, it's half the things you mentioned, no one knows what they are. They don't know what they go with. They're gimmicks, dude. Every one of these things is a gimmick. The league, the world has already decided how soccer should work. You have a domestic league, you have a domestic trophy of all your teams like FA Cup, and you have the Champions League. That's all we need. We don't need all these gimmicks of of flowers to spray water in your face and call it a trick. You know,
okay. Well, so I wonder what you think then, Jared, about the idea that is Major League Soccer supposed to just kind of do the traditional stuff, the things you just mentioned, and hope they get more fans and hope they grow and hope that
you're not getting fans because no one understands what the hell you're doing. Honestly,
but
I'm literally getting paid now to talk about this. I don't know what MLS does.
Not yet. Don't get ahead of yourself.
I don't understand the function of these apparati.
You're pulling out words like apparati. What is?
I have words.
J. Rodius.
Are you sure it's not apparatuses? Come on.
There's no way it's apparatuses.
What else you got, Frank?
Yeah, one last thing. So, let's be real. MLS Cup, MLS is back, the tournament. What this really is crowning a champion to go lose to Mexico in the Champions League. That's it. Later.
Okay, fair. Look, again, we still proven otherwise.
That's an okay result of it too.
Look, okay. There's a couple things we have to remember. There is no MLS is back if there's not a pandemic. Okay, we're not doing this. They're not doing this unless there's a shutdown of play. And as much as I have my misgivings about the tournament happening and the way and some of the stuff, as you said, Jared, they've had no outbreak within the bubble since they kicked out 2 teams. It has been okay. The TV numbers, I have no idea. Whatever. Who knows?
They're playing with house money now, and I don't like it. The way they're going to try to start the season back up. Look at baseball right now. They're failing. Baseball's failing trying to do what MLS is talking about they're going to do right now. Take a month off. Take a month and a half off. Go home to your families. Do what you got to do. Do this tournament again in 2 months, and then the winner of both these tournaments, there's your 2 entries for the county. This season is done. This season is done.
It feels like baseball jumped off the roof and landed on the apron. They just flat out boom. And now
it's okay to be different. We don't have to try to do what we did last year in the last 20 years. It's a weird year. Let's just chalk it up to that. Do another tournament in 2 months, and there's your 2 winners, and there's your 2 entries for the Champions League.
The problem here, and everybody who's ever worked in a corporate environment, had managers, been in those meetings. What happens is it's not just about money. And Nicky Soup and Sausage is holding up the international sign for "Give me some dinero." It's that for sure. But it's just that people who are in charge don't know what to do unless they're making decisions about things, right? They don't know how to sit there and be still. They don't know how to be patient. If you're not growing, you're dying. If you're not working to expand, then you're failing. Like, that's the mindset in modern American business. And that's the problem. They feel like they have to do it, Jared. It's like, if we don't,
I think their definition of failure and success is slightly skewed here, though, because Major League Baseball is failing. They're failing with this right now. MLS succeeded. MLS succeeded as a concept.
Yeah, their concept originally succeeded, and they're going to go charging into regionalized play with charter.
That's what I'm saying. They're falling into that leadership trope of doing what's always worked for you instead of looking at the future and saying, where are you at right now? What should you be doing to adapt to what you're at right now? They're going back to their comfort zone too early. Scrap the season, man. Scrap it. I get that there's season ticket holders. You're gonna have to refund ticket holders. That sucks.
People are doing that. They're already teams are already refunding season ticket holders.
Dude, it sucks, but it's not gonna work. You're right now. You've got a nice bit of pub going your way between NWSL, MLS, the way we did this. NBA is getting tons of credit for modeling after us and pulling this off. Don't go to this baseball thing right now. It's not working.
No, I think you're probably right that this is.
What would Taylor Twellman say about this? What are we doing?
No.
What are we doing?
Eric from Bethlehem, you're on the air. What's up?
Well, I was just going to tell Jared that his Open Cup takes are fucking terrible.
All right.
Tell me why.
I mean, you want to go all salty on him? Go ahead, Eric.
He's just mad his team lost.
Oh, Oh no, I live in a town that has a crap ton of Open Cup championships. And,
That's true.
I enjoy that.
Yeah, before the wheel was invented.
Oh man, he's calling your town championships old. Eric, what are you going to say about that?
Man.
We built your city. That's true too. That's true too. Yeah.
We built your city out of Bethlehem Steel, man.
Well, look, Eric, I don't think that the idea of changing the Open Cup dramatically that way that Jared says makes sense. But I do agree with him that the Open Cup probably needs to be tweaked on some level.
Oh, and they definitely tweaked it the wrong way this year, and they basically screwed the PDL teams.
Well, that was because of the COVID pandemic, right? That's a reflection of where we were
before COVID. That was before COVID that they screwed the PDL teams.
Oh, right, because they wanted to move everything up.
What's a PDL?
Professional Development League or Premier Development League.
No, it's now USL 2.
Yeah, it's called League 2.
How many letters before your brain just glazes over?
Alphabet Soup.
So the PDL is the USL, but it's the USL 2.
The PDL is now USL League 2.
The PDL 2.
Do you see why no one cares? Are you guys getting it yet? Why no one cares and no one understands?
Okay, no, I don't disagree that we're a little complicated with all of this, and I do remember because my year is blurring together. Eric is right; they moved up the schedule for the U.S. Open Cup. I can't remember in order to get the tournament done earlier, but it also meant that the college kids weren't available to the PDL teams.
So the USL is below MLS, but PDL is below the USL. It's USL 2 to play in the Super League of Nations Cup of Campeones. You have to be a champion of one of those things.
Okay, you're like the Micro Machines guy now. Go ahead.
But it's the same thing as the FA Cup, man. It means something for it might not mean something for the top tier teams, but it still means something for the lower league teams, man.
Totally get it. I totally understand. I agree.
But he's saying,
but we don't know how to market it in this country.
Okay, Jared's also said the lower leagues don't matter, and he doesn't care about them. So this,
here's why they don't matter, Jason. No one treats them like they matter.
Well, that's okay. That's not true.
Does the U.S. Soccer Federation treat them like they matter?
The U.S. Soccer Federation. I don't know. I don't know how to judge that. How do I judge that?
Do you think the owners and the fans of the lower leagues think that they are treated in a way that they think they matter?
But what does that mean? Treated? Like what does U.S. Soccer need to do to show that they care
a
about
legitimate system of? What's the first division? What's the second division? What's the third division? Like, say what you want about the English league, but at least you understand the way the system works over there. I don't understand the way the system works here, and I live in it, and I watch it.
Look, again, the problem is that American soccer is always in a state of flux. So rather than sort of a settled system that we can say, okay,
who owns that?
This is how who owns the problem that it's in a state of flux? Yes. Capitalism? A free market economy? Because so here's the thing, right? So in a lot of countries, you have a cultural pull of we need to all work together and this system needs to hold together because we all care about soccer so much. It's our livelihoods. We can't collapse. We're just even if we don't like each other, if we hate each other as clubs, we have to be in the system because it's the best thing for soccer, right? And in some cases, it's the business regulations aren't as free as in the United States, because here what happens, because soccer isn't a culturally important sport, and so we don't have that pull of we got to work together, everybody thinks they can do it better, and they look at the system and they go, oh, we need another league that does it this way, or that league is not exactly what appeals to these clubs, so I'm going to start my a third, a fifth, an eighth, a 12th league, and we have too many damn leagues. And the problem is that because it's a free market economy, you can't tell those people you can't have a league. You can't do it. U.S. Soccer gets sued if they say, oh, you can't have a club, you can't have a league, you can't participate, because that's restricting trade, right? That's antitrust law stuff. Yeah. And again, I'm not saying that we should change the laws to help soccer. I'm saying soccer is always going to be perpetually screwed on some level as long as somebody thinks they can have a better mousetrap.
I'll say this real quick before we let the caller go. Bethlehem Steel is one of the best stories ever. I love that.
Oh, he's
The
good.
club. I love the crest. I'm totally messing with you when I say that, but with the stuff I said before, total respect for what that team did in a time in America where soccer was nothing.
Okay, there's Jared trying to pull it back, trying to get some cred. All right, Stefan from West Palm Beach, you're on the air. What's up?
Hi guys, how you doing? Long
Doing good.
time, first time.
Oh, that's nice. You're on the last. Hold on, real quick, Stefan.
Say that again?
The last show before the first show. Is that what Mike said? It's the last show. It's the last show before the first show. So
Perfect time to lose your virginity, Stefan.
Perfect time to be a long time first time. Go ahead.
Well, I'll still be with you guys in your new show when I was with you
Perfect.
guys in your last show.
Damn right.
So, also when you guys borrowed Total Soccer Show's feed, I think once or twice, I listen to those too. I'm always with you guys,
Sweet.
wherever you guys are.
Well, that's how it should be.
I just want to say, sort of piggybacking off a couple of things off the old like U.S. Open Cup and the Leagues Cup. Something that's always bothered me, because I love watching the CONCACAF Champions League, but what's always bothered me is that the knockout games tend to happen when MLS clubs are still in early season form. And I'm wondering, since the U.S. Federation, the Mexican Federation are trying to make money off their leagues, I mean, the U.S. League and the Mexican League are clearly the two more dominant leagues in the region. Why won't CONCACAF switch it so that the knockout rounds are in the fall and the intro games are in the spring? It would just serve to make your second and arguably second strongest league in its best form to make it more competitive. It's a win-win. So U.S. and Mexico don't have to form any fake leagues. They can strike some sort of TV deal that get the numbers they want, and it's a win-win for everybody.
Two thoughts on that. First, it makes too much sense. Secondly, isn't it also partially because when they want to hold the Club World Cup championships?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you care about that, it's usually in the winter, so that the
I mean, that's when you have to have your champion crowned ahead of that. So,
Right.
That's where I think it falls into that window.
Well, what do you say? I mean, obviously, you need some period of time. I can't remember how long the knockout rounds of the Champions League last. What is it, 2 months? It's played out over 2 months or something, 2.5.
Yeah, I think it's like February, March, April.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a good point that MLS teams are not in form, and it's always been a handicap for them. And then that's what part of the reason they haven't lifted that trophy since it changed to the Champions League. But I don't know. You are saying, okay, well,
but we're also
MLS
the one
matters
league
more.
out of all of CONCACAF that's screwed up in this regard.
Right. In terms of the schedule, if you have one league that's different than everybody else, do you change everything around? I mean, it makes.
If it's the
Go ahead.
If it's the second strongest league, and if USA versus Mexico is sort of the exciting games, embrace.
So
that.
you believe in American
I know the
exceptionalism?
Champions League- Say that again?
You believe in American exceptionalism?
Well, what I'm saying is CONCACAF wants that TV money. USA wants that TV money. MLS SUM wants TV money. The Liga MX wants that TV money. The three of them can sit down, strike a deal, and come up with something that works for everybody. And I think it can finish sort of just before the FIFA Club World Cup, which, if I'm not mistaken, is about to change to a summer tournament anyway.
Okay, but if you're
I'm sure
Costa Rica and you have Saprissa that's always in the hunt for these spots as well, how do you feel about CONCACAF changing the whole tournament to benefit the United States when every other country is aligned in how it should be done? If you're that third bubble the country, Costa Rica is the one that's always closest to making one of these spots after Mexico and US. You're pissed. You're pissed because you've done nothing wrong and they're changing. It's just like when everyone looks at the Galaxy, how they changed the rules for them in MLS. It's true. And that would be the same thing here. Why are you changing for the United States? The United States should have to change to everyone else. And that's how I feel. And I think that's how it would be seen. I get your point, and I think it's a valid one in terms of making the best product out there for a viewership and a TV rights thing. But I also think MLS needs to get their crap together and maybe get on the same schedule as everyone else then.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously that tournament is kind of stuck in the mud for that reason. Jared, you said you care. I watch it because I'm addicted to American soccer things, but I'm not a big fan.
I care because the way that world football works, I should care because this is how you determine the best country, the best team in your region.
Yeah, I suppose. I suppose. By the way,
Libertadores, Champions League, this is how it's done around the world. So that's why I think it no matter how you cut it, it has more legitimacy than any other thing you would create because this is how people understand football in the world.
Maybe. Thanks for the call, Steph. We're getting toward the end of the show. We got a lot to pack in here.
Man,
I'm going to get to it.
I totally hijacked this show, man. I'm sorry.
No, it's the way things went. I want to point out that the Portland Timbers celebrating their semifinal victory at MLS is back. In the locker room, I'm watching a video here. Giovanni Savarese comes into the locker room. They start throwing bottles of water on him. Somebody in the background is holding like an entire light panel and jumping up and down with it, like from the ceiling. I don't know what happened, but he's like holding it up in front of him. It looks like one of the backup goalkeepers.
If you're a backup goalkeeper, this might be the best it ever gets. Celebrate the hell of it.
Might be. I believe this is Jonathan Tannenwald on the air with
5 minutes to go.
Oh, just at the buzzer. He's a basketball guy. He'll appreciate that. What up, John?
Speaking of backup goalkeepers and worse.
The goalkeeper on the line.
No, I had to file my story. And as soon as I was done, I realized it wasn't 11 o'clock yet. And I wanted to bid you farewell and good luck.
Oh, well, thank you. On our very short journey, we're going from one street over to the next one. That's it. You're not even changing neighborhoods, really.
And a street not far up the road from me, if I'm not mistaken.
That is true.
We're moving back to our childhood home.
Something like that. Yeah. So, Tanner, before we, obviously you just filed your story. We've had a little bit of chat about the Union. And I want to celebrate the Timbers and what they did well, but disappointing for Philadelphia to not have a chance to play for this title in Orlando, whatever it means for a club that wants a trophy to validate its program. And I think we lost him. He's gone just like that, like a bat in the night. Jonathan Tannenwald, the goalkeeper.
He just big timed us.
He may call back. We may not have time. I want to squeeze in a couple of other things. Can we real quick talk about the hamstring of Wonderboy? We could talk about the hamstring of Wonderboy if you really want to. By the way, scored in that game in the FA Cup final, a game that Chelsea lost to Arsenal. I do believe Tom Rennie, who I know through the radio, was on the call, called him Captain America, Jared.
It's too easy. They did it with Claudio Reyna. They did it with John Harkes. They did it with Michael Bradley. It's too easy. It's I don't know. There's got to be a better one out there that somehow we could do, because he's not even captain of their team.
No, he's not captain of the national team. So calling him Captain America is not. I don't think that really fits. I do have some respect for the kid. The grit he showed. Going down, you could see the pain on his face, and
that's an American right there.
Everybody who's pulled the hamstring.
That's the first thing I've seen from Christian Pulisic is like, that's the dude I want to fight for my team right there.
Oh yeah,
there's been plenty of things from a skill perspective but that was with that moment, watching him take 6 extra strides and throw a limp noodle at a ball trying to score. Yeah. That's the dude I want on my team right there. Man, that's the moment he became a man to me.
It's super impressive in slow motion. I mean, in real time, it's a little less.
You see his face, dude.
Just like the pain on his face as he goes down. Hopefully, he's okay.
He has O face.
The national man, don't ruin it.
Like as in, oh my god, my hamstring.
Okay. Luckily, the national team doesn't play a meaningful game until like June or something. I think maybe March, whatever.
He's got 5 to 6 weeks as the current prognosis. He might be back in time for the restart.
Yeah, and Chelsea's going to get whacked out of the Champions League by Bayern Munich anyway, so he wasn't going to miss any. I mean, it would have been nice to see him in that game, but it wasn't like they were going to overcome that deficit. I think Tannenwald is back. I don't know what happened to your phone.
My internet went out at a really great time.
Okay, all right. Well, we want you to finish your thought.
No, I was just saying Diego Villeri and Sebastian Blanco are really good.
They are that.
No, there's too many man buns on that team, John. They got 3. There's 3 man buns on that starting squad between Blanco, Villeri, and
you're acting like the quarantine isn't a real problem for haircuts, right? You're acting like we shouldn't.
Okay, listen. The quarantine's been for like roughly 5 months. You don't grow a man bun in 5 months.
No, I've seen you with you weren't that far away. You were like draping. It was emo as hell over there. Like you gonna tell me. You're gonna tell me that it's not okay to maybe pull it back if you have a little too much? Graham Zusi said
if these guys can get tested for COVID every other day, they can find some shears.
You just shave it all off. That's what you do. I'm sure they.
Jonathan, what do you make, man? Was this Philadelphia Union's last chance to do something with Aronson? Let me finish with Aronson and McKenzie both.
It might have been. Look, there is definitely some internal pressure within the organization to sell. And I've heard some of the complaints and the sort of I'll believe it when I see it-ness of the union selling. But I think the number one reason why they might sell Brendan Aronson now is that as good as he is far from a finished product.
Right.
And if somebody actually comes along with that good of an offer, yeah, sell him.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's not a finished product, and somebody actually might pay more than what he's worth.
I'm not just that, but you can try to work a sell-on clause in there as well.
Well, you usually do that, and maybe you take a lesser fee if you do that, because you may have some worth down the line. But and this is completely arbitrary. And yeah, the market is weird, and MLS doesn't really have a market rate yet for these kind of players. But I think it's $5 million, and not a penny less.
So, Jonathan, as a follow-up to that, if both these guys leave in this,
that's what I'm saying, John.
Yeah, I think it's 3 to 5.
Okay.
3 to 5 for me. But Jonathan, as a follow-up to that, though, if both these guys leave in this window, let's assume they both go. In your opinion, what's the recovery time for this team? Is it months? Is it years? If you lose these two guys right now, how long before Philly's at this level again?
I don't think they would. If they lose both, yes. If they only lose Aronson, the drop off won't be that big.
Agreed.
They will play a different formation. They won't maybe stick to the diamond with Aronson in the hole, but yeah.
Montero will go to the 10. Anthony Fontana will come into that deeper spot, and they'll be all right. The dirty little secret about the Aronson family is that Brendan's brother might be the better prospect.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that as well. He's the Fro-a-doo of Philly.
Fro was never the better prospect.
Hey, there was people that said that Fro could have been better.
Oh, I never heard that.
If you watch the highlights of the Union's USL team's game today, you will see Paxton Aronson do a few things that will impress you.
Okay.
We could have a Paxton Pomacall and a Paxton Aronson.
So he's probably still got another year and change.
You know what it's like, though,
Probably a
Jared?
next year player. But
It's spelled slightly different. Paxton is spelled Paxten instead of Ton. So it's a little bit how we had two oh my God, the kid from New England and the kid from Colorado, Kellen. We had two Kellens spelled slightly different.
Listen, if you got a Paxton Pomacall and you got a Paxton Aronson both on the national team, you call them Tupacs.
No.
I'll tell you what though about Brendan. That's a good one, Jerry. Hit the button, Jason. Hit the button.
No, that's okay. He's gotten too many. I'm not encouraging him anymore, John. You go ahead.
Look, here's the thing about Brendan Aronson. He's been ignored until this tournament. He was ignored by a lot of the savants, and I think the reason why he was ignored by a lot of the savants is because he played in Philadelphia, which is a team that not all that many people in MLS care about, and that not all that many people in Philadelphia care about, as I've said many times to many people.
Sure, the Philadelphia
Germany,
problem.
All of a sudden, the perception changes.
Absolutely. It's hard. Sometimes you don't notice the guy with the lunch pail going to work every day, and that's what the Union have going for them. That's a lunch pail kind of team.
The Philadelphia Union is the hot girl with glasses. You don't notice till she takes her glasses off. You just look by her, because she's not as flashy.
Okay, you know what? Glasses are in, man.
They also they've never won anything.
That's true too. They've never won. But okay, what I think is fascinating and what about Jared's question to you, John, is that if the Union really are good at this thing, if YSC is at the cutting edge of it, at least in the United States, I'm not saying that they have
the next Dallas.
I'm not saying they have a replacement for Brendan Aronson tomorrow if he goes, but they shouldn't be waiting too long before they have another 2-3 kids coming out of that system that are right there, and in another 2 or 3 years are getting the same kind of attention Aronson and McKenzie are getting now.
I hope so. Look, they've got a lot of really talented kids coming through, and a lot of them are attacking players, by the way. And they do have one center back coming through who I think might not be an immediate replacement for McKenzie, but will be okay in enough time that. And here's the other thing. They think they're going to put Garber. When I say they, I mean MLS now, not the union. They think they're going to play 20 more games this year.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, you know what? Philly better have some attacking talent coming through, because right now you're putting Elsinho in a wheelchair for 30 minutes a game and hoping something happens, you know?
that will be taken care of in time when the young kids.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, that can like do wheelies and spin around on one wheel, and like, you know, it's kind of a murder ball situation.
No, I mean he's amazing in that chair, but like still, it's a handicap.
The game anyway.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. John, I'm up against it with time, but I appreciate you calling in. It's good to hear from you. Follow us over on the new thing, and we'll talk to you there.
I will gladly. It's always good to talk to you fellas, and see you on the flip side.
All right,
Thanks,
Mr. Tano Wald, the goalkeeper. I just want to throw this in there. This actually just feels appropriate, considering we're talking about playing games. I could play the whole thing. It's now available on Spotify and Apple iTunes.
You know what's interesting when you search for that on Spotify, Jason?
Yeah, what happens when you search for it on Spotify?
When you search MLS Anthem on Spotify, the first result is our show.
Oh my God, isn't that amazing?
Man, SEO is fantastic.
Isn't that just the? Oops, that's not the one. This is the one. This is amazing. All right, literally right before we get out of here, I wanted to spend a little more time on this. Thought we were gonna have some fun. It looks like David Beckham is in negotiations with Netflix to do a Last Dance style documentary on his career. I have many, many issues with whether or not David Beckham is capable of being Michael Jordan in terms of the candor and the attitude necessary, Jared. I think he's too buttoned up for that. But I do think this could be fun, and I'm wondering what kind of stuff you would want to see out of this.
I would rather watch Steven Gerrard tell the Beckham story.
Ooh.
You know, like I would rather watch, because you're right. Beckham is a PR. I mean, he's a public related. What do I say? He's a publicist's dream. He never goes outside the box. He's not going to say the things that Michael Jordan said that made that thing epic.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, the straight up crap talk. You know, about like, if they could beat me, like, they can't beat me because they're not as good as me, kind of thing. And the other thing about Beckham is, he wasn't the same winner as Jordan was. And honestly, he won plenty of places he went. And I mean, congratulations to him. A fantastic teammate, team player, and figurehead. But I don't think you can name a team that he won with where he was the best player.
There are
maybe the Galaxy.
Well, he might have had.
Even then, it's probably Robbie Keane.
Well, Keane didn't come in.
They didn't win until Keane got there.
Yeah, right. So Beckham, I mean, Donovan was probably still better than Beckham in those first couple of years, because Beckham was injured most of the time, or at AC Milan and coming back halfway through the year. So yeah, but I mean, I think if you're really going to be serious about it, there's some interesting stuff that could happen. But I do think that, well, again, one thing that made Last Dance interesting is it was Jordan responding to what other people had to say about him. And Beckham's just going to laugh all that off, or like, you know,
but who are they going to grab in this documentary that's going to say something bad about Beckham?
About him?
Yeah, but the thing about Jordan is that you get Isaiah Thomas in there. He's talking crap. Yeah. You get Gary Payton in there. He's talking crap. Now, that's not to say they don't have respect for Jordan and they didn't give him his props.
Oh, I think
they were crap talking him in the documentary too.
Well, you mentioned Gerrard. I think you could find. I think, you know, if you had, I don't know, if you got Patrick Vieira, if you got
maybe
Roy Keane says bad stuff about everybody. Roy Keane would trash Beckham. Come on, you can.
Roy Keane actually would. That might be the only guy you're gonna find that was in a locker room with him that's gonna crap talk him.
Yeah.
Maybe Zlatan.
Maybe Zlatan would say something. Were they were in a locker room together?
At PSG for 1 year.
PSG, and they weren't at Milan together, right?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
No, that's probably Zlatan was probably
at PSG that whole time. When he was at Milan.
Okay. You know, look again. I think
I'd watch it though.
I'd watch it. I think my joke was I really need a whole episode about the cornrows. Like, what went into the thought process for the cornrows?
He's our royal. You know, that's the way that the British are with the royals. That's how soccer fans are with Beckham. And I think there's something inherently intriguing about his lifestyle, his story, and the fact he came out of it as a good dad and seemingly like a good dude. Like somehow he doesn't seem affected. He's super affected and not affected at the same time. It's a weird balance that he possesses. Whereas Jordan, once he finished, he was gone.
He's ethereal. David Beckham is ethereal. I'm not saying he's angelic.
Doesn't exist on our plane.
Yeah, he just doesn't exist in the real world. Like he's constantly between all of these things.
I told you, man. I saw him in his underwear in the locker room, and I went blind for a while from just the majesty.
Tangible. I don't need to know those things that you were saying right now. I don't need to know them.
Amazing.
Okay. All right.
I think about it sometimes.
I don't know what else we had on the agenda, but that was a hell of a show. It just kind of like I don't even know. Just roll it down a hill.
What we're learning is I need to drink more often before.
It's a little bit of sauce gets you going. All right. So again, just to kind of put a bow on it, this is the last show, the last full regular show you're going to hear on the JD and the Rod feed. It's not going to be. It's not going to be like this anymore.
We might put a short, like couple minute thing out there directing you after like a placeholder as a caboose to the run here. But you're going to have to look for the Best Soccer Show come next week. First show is August 11th with MLS's back final with a big name guest that we're not releasing just yet.
So this is one of the marching orders. And obviously things are going to take on a different level when we get back to being the Best Soccer Show and have the backing of the people that are involved, the soccer collective and everything. But if you're listening to this now, whether it be live or on a podcast, please, tell people that the Best Soccer Show is coming back and then we're going to have great guests and we're going to do extra content and use the hashtag BSS is back. We're going to tie it straight in to the MLS event and not MLS is back. BSS is back. It's much more important because as we've said many, many times over, the U.S. men's national team never missed a World Cup while the Best Soccer Show was on the air. And we're going to be back on the air. So you can believe in American soccer again, Jared. That's the message I want to send to people. You can believe in American soccer again because we're going to be back.
It's safe. You're safe here.
You're safe.
I feel like when Robin Williams grabs Matt Damon and says, "It's not your fault."
We're going to put one of those like reflective blankets on you, like after a train crash. You're in the back of the ambulance and they put that weird like tinfoil thing on you. Like it's like that, right?
We're gonna wrap you up and just make you feel like it's like your mom's biscuits and gravy.
If you need a hug, let us know. Sure.
Assuming you're over 18.
Otherwise,
it's a side hug.
Boundaries are important. All right. And by the way, after COVID, hugs after COVID, not now. Definitely not now.
Yeah, I don't know where you all been.
Yeah. I mean, Jared doesn't even want to wear his mask. You don't know what's happening over there.
I wear my mask all the time. Thank you.
You don't want to.
I don't want to wear one that I want to wear one that smells like a mint. So if Charlotte could get on that, that'd be nice. Why aren't masks scented?
Because that's weird.
Don't you realize you smell your own breath after a while?
Yeah, I guess I don't wear mine for long stretches like you do, so probably it's easier for me.
I had to invest in mouthwash.
Finally.
I know you can smell it through the show. Huh?
Jared, you know what? I'm gonna point something out to you. Maybe this makes sense as to why you don't wear them. I was gonna say underwear are like a mask for your bottom area, and you don't wear underwear, so
your bottom area must be diseased. Mine is not.
All right. Thanks to everybody who called in. And again, just follow us over. We'll let you know about the fee for the Best Soccer Show. You can follow the Instagram account that exists, The Best Soccer Show on Instagram. That's official now. We do have a couple of t-shirts left over at On the Volley Apparel, JD and the Rod t-shirts. They're quickly becoming collector's items.
Collector's item. Get them while you can.
And again, the Patreon's not going anywhere. So we will be doing content, bonus show stuff under the JD and the Rod name, just only for people who sign up for the Patreon at patreon.com/JD and the Rod. Is that it, Mr. Dubois? Is that the whole thing? Is that all of it?
I'm done being mad. Let's go to our happy place.
All right. Nikki Soup and Sausage, thanks to you as always. We'll talk to you guys next week as the Best Soccer Show.
Get to the chopper! Duh, hello. What are we doing?
The horror show.
Who asked those questions?
Oh, crazy. Michael freaking Arasco Pascal.
Duh, hello.
What happened to woman, ladies?
The horror show.
Oh, it's a dream.
I wouldn't be caught dead in a sweater vest.
Damn, dog. That's inappropriate.
Get to the chopper!
Jay Rodius.